Well, good afternoon, everyone. It is noontime Eastern time. I think we're just about ready to go. Everybody's coming into our webinar today on Cybersecurity Fundamentals and our new course from Gameplan. So welcome, everybody. It's nice to have you here. Ali, it's great to see you.
It's great to be here as well. Very excited to be speaking about our new course, Cybersecurity Fundamentals at Gameplan.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. We're all coming in from all over the world too, right? You're across the pond over there in Europe, and I'm over here in lowly state of Connecticut. So thank you for joining in the evening.
That's
So
right.
why don't we get right to it? What do you think?
Sounds good.
All right. So we figured that we'd begin today with talking about why we chose a subject like cybersecurity to create a course for middle schoolers and high schoolers alike across the United States. And, I don't know if any of you know this, but if you do, raise your hand. We can't see you, but it's good to raise your hand anyway. But cyber attacks happen every 39 seconds. And what you're seeing here is a quick screenshot of the threat map of all attacks happening every 39 seconds across the entire globe. That's impactful because, in fact, when your students were born in our middle schools and high schools alike, all those years ago, I know we're all dating ourselves here, about 30,000 records stolen from selected events of those years of some of the world's biggest data breaches. You'll see some of those companies, Sony, even the US military were on there. But let's fast forward to today. What does today look like? Just as a quick refresh, back then, when our students were born, 2011, going all the way back to 2007, the Sonys of the world, the US military, Heartland payment systems, having over 30,000 records stolen, to today. You see the Facebooks of the world, the Twitters of the world, all of our social conglomerates, big tech, small tech, everything in between tech, all being affected some way by a security breach where they lose data. And an important note is that of these companies you see there, a lot of them are publicly traded. And every time a publicly traded company discloses a data breach, on average, they lose 7.2% on their trading shares. That's quite a bit every time they disclose that. And it takes them even longer to recoup that and then gain what they might have lost should they have not gone down 7.2%. And why is that? When we were thinking about cybersecurity as a course, what was the one major thing that threaded everything together in cyber? Was it the use of technology? Was it the ability to think into the future, like something was going to happen? And out of all the research we did, and this is all over the internet, it's nothing new to us or probably to you either, is that human error is the main cause of cybersecurity breaches. In fact, all cybersecurity incidences can stem back to human error. In fact, 95% of them were caused by human error. So if you look at it a different way, almost 20 cyber breaches happening, 19 of them could have not taken place if we helped stem that tide, if we educated, if we trained, if we helped gain more ability or perform better skill set. Those were the things that we really felt would motivate us to help the younger generation start to understand how to use cybersecurity more proficiently, more responsibly, and learn from it. Because in fact, it could probably stem their career. Maybe they didn't even know this was something that they wanted to do. And in fact, it is something they can do because across the entire world, for that matter, there are tons of openings. There's a huge talent shortage problem. And in fact, it's probably an experience shortage problem when it comes to cyber ability and skill set. And that skills gap is evident no matter where you live, where Gameplan is situated in Europe and where Ali's hailing from today. Where if you're from here in the United States, where we serve most of the US education institutions. But globally speaking, there's over 4 million openings. In the United States alone, over 500,000. And organizations say that almost 3/4 are impacted by cyber talent and skill shortages. And those same corporations are saying that over 60% of their employees are underqualified in cybersecurity. So if we can really affect that understanding early on in an education cycle, we hopefully can also not only fill the gap in skill, fill those roles, but also help the underqualified before they even get to that point. And that's really what helped motivate us even further to help develop this. And when we think about the jobs on US soil, there's over 500,000 openings, but where do they actually land? You would think, oh, they're obviously in the major metropolitan areas, but that's not the case. It's actually pretty well dispersed across all regions. And I know the circles don't actually intersect, and there's some pockets that are just wide open. We haven't forgotten about you. You can always work remotely, of course, but there are plenty of jobs, whether you're in the Pacific Northwest, the Southeast, up in New England, in the middle of the country, or down south. They are all over because cybersecurity knows no bounds. And in fact, if you really think about it, what's familiar about esports and gaming and cybersecurity? Well, you tell me. You look at those two pictures. Do they look familiar? They have computers, they have gaming chairs, they have big screens, they have cool colors and lights. But one thing that was true were that gamers and cyber professionals were and still are absolutely alike. They're curious. They want to learn more. They want to exceed what the goal was. They quest for that perfection. But being self-taught isn't their only option. They can train in the game the same way they can train in cybersecurity. They can learn early on in life the same way they can be qualified later in life. And so being self-taught wasn't the only way they needed to go. They could start with Gameplan. They can start inside their school system. They can start now. And they don't have to go into such a huge technical ability right away. They can learn the basics to be able to build toward that ability. And so instead of listening to me for 45 minutes, which I know you all want to, I want to hand it over to Ali, who is our head of content at Gameplan, who really built a lot of the curriculum along with her entire content team here, who has a lot of experience, especially as a former teacher in this space. And so without further ado, Ali, students have already started, right?
That's right. Thank you, Bryan. So when thinking about how a platform like Gameplan, where we offer lots of esports and gaming curriculum, how we wanted to provide students with career opportunities, especially as it relates to up and coming fields such as cybersecurity, it was a natural fit for our curriculum. So in addition to competitive esports, advertising, influence, cybersecurity is interwoven into all of these different fields. And throughout the course that we've created, students are looking at case studies and looking at different ways in which cybersecurity can be applied to a multitude of areas that relate to their interests and maybe open their eyes to possibilities they didn't necessarily see before. So esports and gaming in the classroom, when we are thinking about instruction as it relates as well to cybersecurity, we are all about engagement. So what is going to pique our students' interest? What is going to get them excited about learning and thinking about their future in new ways? So our cybersecurity course is aligned to CTE standards, social emotional learning standards, such as the CASEL model, ISTE and NGSS, as well as the ISC2 certification. So what's exciting about this is that ISC2 is an organization that is industry recognized, where students who complete our course not only have a fundamental understanding of cybersecurity concepts, but if they choose so, they can then go and take the ISC2 exam and will be prepared to pass that exam. And we have quite a few different topics, as you can see, everything from protection to wares, viruses and attacks, social engineering, to hardware exploits. So we really cover a broad range of topics that students can build out that foundation upon and then expand upon further in the area that they find is interesting to them. Additionally, when creating our lessons, we are not just thinking about what is the topic that needs to be covered. You know, anyone can look up these cybersecurity principles for themselves, but how do we get students engaged? How do we integrate that pedagogy that is going to keep students interested in the long term and really teach the content in a meaningful way? So we like to follow the gradual release model, which is a widely known lesson plan model. Starting off with a hook, whether that is an exciting video or a discussion question or a case study to talk about as a class, we're piquing the students' interest from the very beginning. Then in the second part of the lesson, the teacher steps in and we provide content for them to share new information, whatever the lesson topic is for that day. It's 1 or 2 pages with interactive activities, check for understanding questions, polls, all of those sorts of things. And then the lesson moves into the fun part, which is the drill or the practice. So this is when students really can get into the case studies and think critically about the topics at hand. There is a lot of group work that is in the course, as well as plenty of independent work, so students can really balance how they are thinking about problems as they would in the real world, right? Cybersecurity professionals work both in teams as well as thinking independently about solutions and then coming back together. Every lesson then finishes with a quiz and a reflection to make sure that the students are actually integrating what they are learning into their schema, as well as a way for them to measure their growth over the long term. So at this time, we can take a look at our platform and highlight a few of the lessons and units for you. Bryan, if you'd like to head on over, excellent.
I can head on over by a quick click, right?
Sure.
And by the way, before I begin, I know a lot of you like dark mode for us. However, speaking with a lot of educators, they tend to gravitate towards light mode. So we'll stick with light mode today. Is that okay with you, Ali?
Of course.
All right, perfect. Perfect. So we'll begin with jumping into our cybersecurity course and dealer's choice. Ali, where would you like to go?
Let's start with one of my favorite units, which is social engineering.
Perfect.
So
okay.
When you log into Gameplan, you'll see our platform, you'll see all of the units in the course laid out for you. When you click into a particular unit, you are greeted with a description of the course, as well as a bullet point list of what this course contains, as well as some further information there about the ISTE certification that is aligned to our course. So what's really cool, I think, as a former educator myself, a tool I always like when I am working with such pre-made curriculum such as this, is that you have the option. You can either teach all of the lessons in order as they were written, or you can pick and choose which lessons you want to teach in what order. You have the option to edit any of the content as you like. You can add questions, change questions, add different text, whatever the case may be. But we can start with perhaps understanding false information. That's a lesson that I really like, as it highlights a lot of issues that are going on today. So this lesson in particular has to do with students understanding the difference between misinformation and disinformation, how it specifically affects the gaming community, and how misinformation and disinformation impacts the cybersecurity landscape, and what sort of cybersecurity threats that could arise from these concepts. So on the first page of the lesson, you have your overview. So your lesson description, your objectives, as well as the standards. If you continue scrolling, or up above, you'll see all of our standards that are aligned specifically to this lesson. Now, the cybersecurity course is aligned, as mentioned earlier, with CASEL, with the National Computer Science Standards, as well as ISTE. So everything that you would need, especially we understand how important documentation is for teachers. All of the standards are right there listed for you. You also can add standards if you like, adjust if you were to change anything about the lesson for yourself. And if we look into the actual lesson pages, you'll see how it follows that gradual release model as well. So starting here, we have different questions for students to answer. Do you think you can spot which of the headlines are real and which of the headlines are fake? And so the class will start by taking a poll and seeing if they can spot which is real, which is fake, what might be clickbait, and so on. And then as a teacher, you can introduce with, this very relevant discussion, not only about what's relevant to the lesson, but these are things that are relevant to kids' lives. They are exposed to headlines every day, just like we are. On the next page there, and you'll see up in the corner there, Bryan has brought up the teacher instructions, which is also very helpful, especially if you are someone who has not taught cybersecurity before. Maybe you don't know much about it, or perhaps if a substitute is teaching this lesson. We really try to design the lessons for all teachers in mind. So this is where we move a little bit into the new information, that sort of I do section of the lesson, where students are not only getting new information, but then they always have practice activities, check for understanding questions. In this case, as you can see, there's a sorting activity, fill in the blanks, all these sorts of things, which give you ample opportunity to check for understanding. And as a teacher, figure out how far along your students are progressing right from the start of the lesson. We then move into a discussion. Students are going to watch a video, have a discussion about it, what makes something fake news, that sort of thing, as it relates especially to, to a gaming incidents. So following that, we have towards the end, another discussion here, another check for understanding. And then in the end, we have just a short quiz, a little 5-question quiz for you to check your students' learning. You can use this information for the next lesson to see if your students are ready to move on, or if they are, if there's anything that you need to reteach, as well as finishing off, as mentioned, with that reflection piece, which helps the students to really round out their learning, integrate what they have learned into previous topics that have been covered, think about the ways in which the concepts from the lesson apply to their own life, how it might impact what they are thinking for themselves in the future, that sort of thing. So that is a quick, comprehensive overview of how our lessons are created. Everything is 100% editable, I guess, but on the teacher's end. So anything that you want to change or add or customize for your specific classroom, you have the ability to do so in our curriculum. And yeah, so Bryan, I don't know if there is additional information you want to share about the platform or about the course before
Well, we have a few questions coming in on both chat and some sent in questions too, we should probably address as well. We want to be the most efficient as always. People taking the time out of their day, so thank you. But Lana had asked, can this be integrated to Google Classroom? Hey, look, it popped up on the screen for us. That's perfect. Yes, it can. In fact, we integrate with over 20 learning management systems and 20 student information services as well, along with quite a few, I think over 20 identity management platforms. So for your single sign-on usage, with Google Classroom in particular, along with a bunch of the others, rostering assignments, grade pass back, as well as pass through, your typical integrations with those. So you can really make it seamless. You don't have to do duplicated work either as well, which is something that Ali always chimes in on. Don't duplicate my work, please. So, okay, I have another question, which hopefully it pops up on the screen. If it does again, I'd be very impressed. But can all the lessons be done on a Chromebook without any other downloads? Yes, they can. They can be completely done on any Chromebook. It is a web-based experience, so most of us use Chrome, but it also works on other web browsers as well. Absolutely. And see if there's other questions too that were pre-sent in too, which I'm assuming are going to pop up on our screen as well, Ali. So we can probably wait for them to pop in. But yeah, and I put up on the screen the edit side of part of the course to the types of scams, just to show what it looks like, because it integrates AI lesson editing and generative feedback as well, and a few different things that you can also change some of your objectives if you want, enhance it with AI. There's a few different things that you can do there that can really help you too, especially if you already teach something in computer science and cybersecurity and IT, network, etc. To help include both the things you do. I hear that you're having a Grand Prix race out back, Ali. Is that you?
Oh, do you hear background noise? I apologize. There is work being done outside.
No, no worries, no worries.
Hope it's not too distracting.
That's all right. We live in a normal human life, don't we?
Yes, that's right.
Now, and I think, are there any other questions that came in? Do I need prior knowledge about cybersecurity to teach this course? Ali, that is all you. I will say, no, you do not, but I will let you elaborate.
That is correct. You do not need prior knowledge about cybersecurity to teach this course. It is really designed with every teacher in mind. So whether you are a cybersecurity expert, or you are also working in your school or district's IT department, or if you are completely new to computer science and cybersecurity, this course really can be taught by any teacher who is interested in teaching cybersecurity concepts to their students. We've tried to lay out everything ahead of time that you would possibly need as a teacher, from the teacher instructions to all of the content that students need throughout the course. And yeah, it really can be taught by anyone.
That's a good question. That's a common question too, right? Especially with substitutes coming in or taking on an extra semester class that you're not necessarily familiar with. That happens quite a bit.
Exactly. Wanted to make this as easy as possible.
Yeah.
Is there professional development available for teachers using this course? Bryan, if you'd like to take this one.
Thank you for hitting the ping pong ball back to me. Yes, There's pretty robust, as much as you need, professional development, specifically not only in the curriculum and integrations side of things, onboarding, etc., but also really in depth, IT subject matter specific to these courses, but also integrative, how to fund different types of curriculum. Also certification-based professional development as well. It gets pretty in-depth if you'd like to get that deep into it. So the answer, quick, yes, and much more to it as well. Perfect. So Ali, if you had to answer one thing that hasn't been asked, what would it be?
Well, I suppose that's a great question. I guess it would be great for people to know that this course really was designed with both students and teachers in mind. So from start to finish, we wanted to make sure that there would be engagement for students, ease of use for teachers, as well as a practical application, both in understanding the cybersecurity fundamentals covered in the course, as well as the IST2 certification alignment. So students are not only walking away with this enormous amount of knowledge that they have gained, but also with a tangible skill that they can then go and apply for their certification and be taken seriously as professionals within the field from the get-go. We're very proud of this course, and we're very excited to bring it all to you.
Indeed. And if you need more information on all of this, we will publish Ali's direct phone number on our website. No, I'm just kidding. But you can feel free to browse not only our website at gameplan.com, it breaks out the units as well. You can also talk to us via our website, or inquire anything that you need to know about the curriculum in depth, also about the ISC2 certification. Also, when we're talking about national standards, one of the questions that we get most is also, do you align to the state standards? Whether it's computer science, CTE, pathways and clusters, etc. And the answer is 100% yes. That is part of the reason why we built that lesson standard ability inside the platform, to make it much easier, not only for ourselves, but also for our teachers as well, as Ali kind of mentioned before. So feel free to reach out to us on everything regarding cybersecurity, but even more as well. We're happy to help in all regard to a method of engaging students in instruction using esports and gaming, for sure. So, Ali, I'll always leave it to you to leave the last word. Anything you would like. Well, I came in late. Is this available with our Gameplan plan or a different plan? It is available under the Gameplan plan. We can actually add it to your current plan as well. So just give us a shout.
Nice. Well, thank you all again for coming and for spending this time with us to learn about our newest course, Cybersecurity Fundamentals, and we look forward to hearing from you.
Thank you, Ali. Have a wonderful week, everyone. Ali, you too.
You too, Bryan. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.